हमारा देश भारत अपनी सभ्यता और संस्कृति के लिए विख्यात है। भारत देश विश्व का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र है। हमारा देश विश्व में अकेला ऐसा देश है जहां देश को मां का दर्जा दिया जाता है। वहीं भारत में हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख और ईसाई सभी धर्मों के लोग मिलकर रहते हैं। 21वीं सदी का भारत कैसा हो, इस विषय पर आज एक वेबिनार का आयोजन हो रहा है, जिसमें गांधी जी के पोते अरुण गांधी सहित कई विद्वान शिरकत कर रहे हैं। अमेरिका से सीधे जुड़ रहे हैं अरुण गांधी, सुनवाते हैं आपको।
He wanted honesty, dedication, compassion, love, all of these very positive attitudes and attributes to be the guidelines of all our actions and relationships within the country. Instead, like the rest of the world, we have chosen to go in the opposite direction. So there is no place for truth, no place for compassion, understanding, respect, or any of these attributes in our public life. We see this happening all over the world, and I have come to the conclusion that this is primarily because everywhere we have chosen a materialistic lifestyle, and everything is about money and possessions. And in that materialistic lifestyle, we have become very selfish and greedy and self-centered. That is what materialism ultimately leads us to. And we see this in everything connected with our lives, right from parenting to everything else that we do in life. In parenting, we are always impressing upon our children that they have to be successful in life and they have to get to the top by any means possible. Don't think about anybody else. Just think about your future and get to the top. This is the summary of the message that we give to our children when they are growing up. Now, those are the first seeds of selfishness that we are planting in our children. We are telling them that you don't think about anybody else, you don't worry about anybody else, you just think about yourself and get to the top. And the result of that is that we have created a very greedy and a very selfish society where people and children have grown up to be selfish, and they think only about their own attitudes and their own selves, and they can't do anything else. Now, in that kind of a society, we have very, very bad relationships. Our relationships get destroyed because if everybody is just thinking about themselves and trying to grab everything for themselves, they cannot learn to live together and share and create a society of harmony. Now, when there is no harmony in society, there cannot be any peace in society. So Gandhiji's dream was that the people of India should overcome their caste prejudices. They should overcome the religious intolerance that we have in the country. They should be more compassionate and loving and thinking about other people. So he wanted poverty to be eradicated. He wanted all of these things to happen in India. And it could have happened, like at the time of independence, we had a population of nearly 300 million people, and many of them were living in poverty because during the British rule, the British had concentrated all their progress and development in cities and neglected the villages. And the result was that the people in the village were ignorant and they were impoverished and they were very they were marginalized over the period of the British rule. And Gandhiji wanted that at the time of independence, that instead of we spending a lot of money and our resources in continuing to build the cities, we should spend that money to help the people in the villages lift themselves up so that they can catch up with the mainstream society. And then all together, we could have developed the country and economically brought the country up to a reasonable standard. But the other leaders of the Congress party were not interested in that. They were interested in big projects, big expenditures, and the result was that we continued with that legacy of the British of concentrating all our development activities in and around cities and continuing to neglect the villages. And so today, 70, 80 years after independence, we find that we have increased the number of poor people instead of decreasing them. And the country today is torn between the rich and the poor. We are creating two distinct societies, westernized societies in the cities and the traditional societies in the villages. And with that, there is a tremendous intolerance of religious diversity. There is intolerance of the caste system. We still continue to oppress people because of caste and religion and several other ways in which we have divided our societies. And so instead of being a unified Indian society, we have become a very diverse society of people being identified by their states and by their caste and so on. I am always very disturbed when I meet other Indian people and they are not interested in the fact that we are all Indians. They want to know which part of India you have come from. Are you a Maharashtrian or a Bihari or a Gujarati? Or why does it matter which part of the country we come from? We are all Indians and we should be thinking about us as Indians. Now, this kind of disparities and this kind of disunity that exists in our societies is very detrimental. It's not part of what Gandhiji wanted India to be. He also has been very misunderstood. When he decided that he would change the name of the low caste people from the derogatory terms that were used in the old days to calling them Harijans, that they are Harijans. And the reason why he did this was because he explained that they have gone through the crucible of torment and oppression like nobody ever has been through. And because of that experience, they have earned the right to be called the children of God. And when ultimately the rest of the Hindu society, they acknowledge the oppression that they committed and atone for that mistake that they made, then they too will earn the right to be called Harijans. So he visioned a Hindu society that everybody who was a Hindu would be a Harijan, a child of God. In one stroke, he had eliminated the caste system and made everybody equal as Harijans. So that was his vision, ultimate vision of India. But the reason why he could not take revolutionary action like a lot of people wanted him to take in these matters is he didn't want to tear up the country. He believed strongly in the philosophy of nonviolence, and he believed very strongly that nonviolence means that we bring about change in society without hurting other people, without tearing up our society, and through love and understanding and respect. And so that is the method he was trying to use. I don't know if any of you remember, maybe you were too young to remember this, but during his lifetime, he always had the Sarva Dharma Pratna, where everybody gathered publicly and they all sang Hindu, Muslim, Parsi, Buddhist, all the different prayers together. The reason why he did this was because he wanted that unity. He wanted people to realize that we may personally practice different philosophies in our life, but
तो अरुण गांधी को अमेरिका से लाइव सुन रहे थे आप। आपको बता दें कि राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी के पोते हैं अरुण गांधी, जहां उन्होंने ये बताया कि इंडिया जो है उसको वो पहला ऐसा देश है जिसको भारत मां का दर्जा